Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here at my next YouTube video. This is going to be my video review for Transformers Prime, Predacons Rising, the TV movie that basically ends Transformers Prime in terms of it being a on TV sort of thing. Um, the show technically continues through the comic Transformers Prime Beast Hunters from IDW. Um, the first the first four issues that are out right now cover basically just Grimlock and his sort of stuff on Cybertron. Um, but eventually, I think by issue 7, it's going to bring the cast that survives the show, this movie basically, back into things. So there is going to be a continuation past this, which is good, because getting into the movie itself, I liked it. Like overall, I thought it was good. It was really well made. You can tell they put effort into it as this kind of TV movie to end it. But there was a lot of bits that just left me kind of disappointed, and even a few bits that had me like pretty annoyed at like what they kind of meant for the series. But I suppose I'll start with some of the positives that I had. The main one being Bumblebee, I thought was amazing in this movie. I think him just having that voice and them actually giving him focus and screen time show what you can actually do with Bumblebee as a character, and not just have him be that popular one from the Michael Bay movies. It really showed up how forgotten he was in the first more or less all 3 seasons, not having a voice, and how like miles better he is now that he has the voice, and how just so much character he has. And like, I know they've said a lot of lines to kind of make up for that. You know, I was never the biggest talker. You know, I was always the kind of expression, have other expression or something like that. But no, you're better with the voice, and I hope now they've kind of made that decision that Bumblebee from now on is going to have a voice, because I don't think they need to do it again. I like the way they had the ceremony, basically making him a warrior on Cybertron, because like they set that up in the show, they had that happen here, and then even have him kind of basically become the leader of this kind of squad now that kind of goes out. He's the one who kind of makes the kind of tries to deal with Predacons, and kind of handles it really well. You know, calls him Your Majesty, kind of lays down the immobilizer, stuff like that. That was cool. I liked kind of seeing kind of epic Bumblebee almost. It was really cool, and you know, in the end, it almost felt like setup for the end, which kind of getting into it, I didn't like that much. Basically, Prime, to seal up Unicron, has to open the Allspark cylinder, take the Allspark out, put it in the Matrix, and seal Unicron in the Allspark container. That's fine. That kind of made sense to me. But in the process, this means that Prime is going to die because there's so much energy inside him, and the planet needs the Allspark to start creating life again. That made sense. I had no problem with this being the ultimate way that kind of Prime goes out, sacrifices himself, and it's not just he dies in battle, everyone feels sad. This was kind of this meaningful one where it had to happen. As much as it was sad, he just kind of suddenly revealed, I'm going to die if I don't jump in here. And then everyone's like, what? What I didn't like about it was that he made the speech, and I don't really have much problem with Optimus Prime making these speeches, that's who he is. My problem was part of the speech, when he said the age of primes is over, and like, you're all primes now. It was a cool thing to kind of like give all the characters something, but I disliked it because it says the age of the primes was over, because the show's called Transformers Prime. The kind of goal going into it that the series kind of said it was going to do was teach what it was to be a prime, and they did that through Optimus. But they also did something else, and that was set up Smokescreen as being the next prime. And through one of his lines earlier on in this episode, where he says that he didn't feel he was ready, and through Optimus saying the end of the prime, I was just like, you just had this amazing setup. And I think if you go back to the videos where the first few episodes of season 3, I was really like happy about them kind of showing the Smokescreen potential. So for them to kind of just throw it out the window here was very annoying to me, and I didn't enjoy at all what that meant. Like, okay, so there's no Prime. But even beyond that, I didn't like the way that he didn't make anyone else the leader. Like, okay, there's no, since the Matrix is gone with Optimus, there's no technical Prime, but he also didn't say who's going to be the next leader of the Autobots, and that's what I really disliked. I thought that was the point where you tell Smokescreen, like, you know, you've still got a lot of training to do, but you're going to be the next one in charge. Or as they were almost setting up in this whole movie with how epic Bumblebee was, tell him he's the next in charge or something like that. It just felt really kind of like you broke your own show with this one line. This one line kind of, in a way, ruined the main arc of what this show was meant to do. That being show what it means to be a Prime, and kind of the way they're hinting at it was that Smokescreen was going to learn from Optimus how to be a Prime and ultimately end with him going that way. Now, they could do that in the comics going forward because there's still a lot of stuff I think left open to do that with, but it was just really annoying to me. I got annoyed when he said this, and it wasn't just like I had the instant reaction of the "hey, everything's good." In the middle of watching it for the first time, I was just like, "What? Really?" But I liked what happened next. Like, really nicely animated Optimus flying into the core of the planet, and then the light coming out was just really well done. And then I suppose the spark of Optimus coming out and saying just like, I may be gone, but you know, I'm not really. I've just transformed again, a different sort of transformation. That was a really nice line, because while on the outside it seems cheesy, using the fact that it's called Transformers and he's just another different transformation, it worked because it was not this really sad ending like Optimus died. He didn't die, he just transformed from a Transformer into kind of part of what brings life back to Cybertron, and it was a nice way to end it, and a nice way to put Prime out without having it be that sacrifice again that he already did. I like that. The other problem I had was Megatron. Overall I liked that they kind of brought back the Megatron Unicron thing, but by the end of it, the thing that they went for was that Unicron basically torturing, controlling Megatron, showed Megatron what he was doing to the Autobots and Cybertron and stuff like that, was how it was bad, that controlling people by force is a terrible thing, and through him experiencing that himself, he realized that like peace through tyranny is not the correct way to go about things. That's cool, but at the same time, they didn't really set it up that much. Like, yes, he was clearly being tortured and like he wanted to kill himself to get out of this, but I didn't feel like that it was enough for him to, basically the first few words out of his mouth the second he kind of is not under Unicron's control and is alive again are, no, this isn't the way anymore, and just runs off. It's great setup, I think, for the comics if they ever bring him back, and depending on what they do. But as I said, this is the final thing on screen for Transformers Prime, and in that sense it was a really weird way to leave it open because there wasn't much setup for that, and it was all subtext. They didn't tell you enough of like how tortured he was, and I suppose it really kind of connecting in Megatron's mind that he's been going about this the wrong way for a long time, or something like that. So that was kind of annoying to me. But other than that, you know, some of the other new stuff introduced in this was the new Predacons, Darksteel, Skylinks. They were cool. I liked the kind of characters that they had. They were very different to Predaking, and the way, you know, Predaking really kind of came towards these guys, and they kind of made this nice trio at the end, protecting the core. I actually liked what they did with the Predacons overall in this, the three of them, and then how it all kind of came together. They were all looking for the additional Predacon bones to create new Predacons, and they all wanted that to happen until kind of Unicron made them Dark Energon kind of Predacons, and then you saw these as abominations where he and Darksteel and Skylinks are the real ones. So that was cool. The way the plot kind of revolved around the Predacons, and then we had Shockwave and Starscream going for them. You had the Autobots looking for them and stuff like this. It was a really kind of a clever way to use a kind of scavenger hunt type thing, but in a more kind of epic way. The fights were okay. There was a few nice kind of things back and forth, but I maybe expected a bit more from the final thing again. And I think a lot of my complaints do come down to my expectations going into this. I expected this to be this amazing conclusion to everything, where what it really was just a kind of standard TV movie that did a few extra things. So, I think the comics will do good for the show going forward. But some other stuff. Another kind of like up in the air about that probably will be used in the comics was that like they talked a lot about that they have this landing strip for the refugees and stuff like that to come back. I actually really wanted them to like introduce a new Autobot or something like that coming back, like something like someone like Prowl, who we know kind of exists in the Prime universe. That would have been cool to see him just like return here, help them out. But I think because of like budget reasons that it's hard to make a new model, they didn't want to do that. And it's clearly set up for like a lot of new characters coming into the comics, but it just felt like they're leaving a lot open for the comics because they know they have the comics that can resolve it, and they didn't resolve enough here. What else is there to talk about? The way they kind of just shelved Magnus like really early on in this movie was odd, especially given that he's the one who was like most recently injured. That was really weird. Just the first meeting with Darth Steel and Skylynx, he's the one who gets injured. He's out for the whole thing basically. I suppose it was really just a clever way to bring Ratchet into it, and it kind of made sense that he was the only one to take out of it because you needed Bumblebee, you needed Smokescreen. I suppose you kind of needed RC and so on. But another thing, I'm getting towards the end of my points, but Knockout, I actually really liked him in this episode, in that he kind of changed sides at the end of the season 3, but it was kind of in this jokey way where they're like, "Oh, Knockout, you're actually evil. You're pretending to join our side." But here, when the Decepticons try and take over, he actually just turns on them and like takes out Starscream, and I really like that it was actually a actual thing that he did, that being changed sides. Now they didn't get too much into like the exact details of why, but I think he realized at the end that the Autobots were the good thing for him. So that was cool. There was a really funny moment, I suppose, near the end with him where, Optimus goes to them all, "You've all acted like primes," and he's just the complete odd one out there. He's been on the Decepticon side for the whole series, and then he's just like, "I just changed it all," or something like that. It was just this brilliant moment, and they just have the comedy with Knockout like perfect. And again, he's another character I want to see more of in this series, and I hope to do something with him in the comics, but at the same time, they're leaving so much to do in the comics for this series to kind of end and continue properly. I'm pretty sure that's most of what I wanted to say. Starscream basically gets killed by the Predacons. At least that's what I took it as. It works given that he was the one who was torturing Predaking the whole time, and now Predaking finally gets his revenge. And again, I doubt it's probably the death scene we all expect. He's probably just keeping Starscream as like a pet. I doubt he's dead. I can't quite remember, but I think no, Shockwave came back. I think it kind of looked like he went down to the Predacons, but was he turned into a zombie? I'm not sure. I can't even remember where they left off Shockwave. I was expecting Arachnid to come back in this, to reference the fact that she's on the moons of Cybertron or something like that, but they didn't, so I assume that's left open for the comics. Again, more stuff for the comics. But yeah, that's more or less all I wanted to say about the movie. Just a quick video to put in amongst all the sort of Korra stuff going on. And I think that's maybe another reason why it didn't kind of I didn't like it as much as maybe I should have. Is that I'm in Korra mode right now, and that Korra is just the highest quality show out there right now, and this just you could tell that it wasn't as good as that, and comparing anything to Avatar Korra is just it's not great for the other show. But overall, it was good, and I definitely recommend watching it. If you've if you've been like watching the series of Prime so far. But as I kind of went through it, you know, it's just like they tried to do a lot of like emotion, very emotional things, but didn't give it the time on screen to kind of make that go through. The biggest kind of offender there was the Megatron kind of turning towards the good side, or at least disbanding the Decepticons. That's a cool idea, but they didn't give it the time it needed to kind of really register and like with Megatron and then him say it. And then the Optimus thing I found was just this. It was a clever way of ending the series, like him saying the era of Primes is over, but at the same time, it just took out all of Smokescreen's development from the whole show. It was really annoying. And it was just moments like that. They tried to do a lot of really emotional things, didn't quite hit it, but sort of did. So you know, it had a lot of potential. Didn't quite work out, but in the end, it was good. It was good animation, some good fight scenes. The plot overall, I thought, was pretty nice. You bring the Allspark into things, and Unicron back. That was cool. Primus, Unicron conflict, some nice stuff. But that's all I want to say. I really want to know what you guys think in the comments about this. Because I haven't actually seen much thoughts on it, because I don't think the movie's actually going to air on TV for a while, and I think it was actually leaked online, which is how I watched it. But let me know what you think of this movie, because I'm really interested to see what other people think. Thanks for watching this video, and bye.